A very good afternoon, participants. Thank you for joining today's open house. Today's open house is on NSE's eIPO bidding system. To share the explanation on today's topic, I have with me my colleague, Mr. Manjunath Gadiyar, who is from Non-Contiguous Vertical of Member Services Department. I, Jwalan Gandhi, welcome all of you. Before we start today's explanation, let me tell you two things. First, in case during the session you have any questions and queries to be asked along with the feedback that you want to give to us, you can use the Q&A tab of the window that you have joined session through right now. You can keep posting the queries throughout this session also, and at the end we'll take it one by one. Second thing, in case there are some members who are not aware what is NSE's eIPO system. So basically, wherever primary issues come, there is a portal, web-based portal that NSE has provided, which is very much user-friendly and effective for usage, through which the bids can be placed. So today we are giving a walkthrough on NSE's eIPO bidding system, where Manjunath will take us through all the details. And definitely there will be many of the members and participants who are already using the system. But for the newer user, Manjunath, let's start with the basics first for broader understanding. And if you can explain types of IPOs first so that some of the users can have a broader understanding. Manjunath, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jwalan, so much. Typically there are two types of IPOs. One is the fixed price issue and one is the book building issue. So fixed price issue, as we know, the issue price is fixed and uh, banks, members and all participants place bids at a single price and the issue opens and closes at a single price. Whereas in case of a book building issue, the book is built, there is a price range, there is a minimum price range and the maximum price range, and there are bids at different price intervals, and the equilibrium or the price at which the demand is the most, that is the subsequent price which has been decided. So that's the reason it's called book building, because book is built over a period of time. So minimum days are 3 and maximum days in an IPO are 10.
Great. So I believe that when the IPO comes itself, users must be able to see whether it is a fixed price or book building issue, right?
Correct, that's right, that's right.
Okay. Now, next, as you can see over the screen, so Manjunath, if you can also explain various categories of IPOs that come.
Yeah. So there are various categories of IPO. As you can see on the screen, there is equity main board IPO, uh, which for which the market capitalization is 250 crores and above. Then there is debt IPO. So it is nothing but primary issuance of debt securities, non-convertible debentures, green bonds. So all such type of debt instruments, uh, the primary issuance or the IPO happens in debt security. Then there is small and medium enterprise, which we call it as SME IPO. So all those companies whose paid up market cap is 25 up to 25 crores come under this particular bracket, and then these get listed on NSE Emerge platform. So there is an exclusive platform called as NSE Emerge on which these companies get listed. Then there is real estate investment trust, REITs. So the underlying is real estate. Then there is infrastructure investment trust, INVIT IPO. Then there is zero coupon, zero principal, ZCZP. So all those who want to donate or for a particular cause can come via the ZCZP, zero coupon, zero principal IPO, which is recently been started by the exchange.
Okay, so that is the newest addition to
That is the
our
newest addition.
offerings.
Correct.
And I'm sure
Correct.
that NSE's eIPO portal serves as a single unified portal to bid for all the IPO categories you just explained. That is
That's right.
correct, right?
That's correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
so that will be a single platform participants for all of you for all these categories of primary issuance IPO that come. So you did not go anywhere else. Now let's explain to our participants on ways to place IPO bids through NSE IPO.
Yeah. So primarily there are three ways in which you can place bids on the eIPO portal. One is the manual order entry. So directly you get a particular application of an investor, you can manually place a bid. You can also do a bulk upload file wherein you get n number of records, you make a file via Excel and then you load it in the system. And then there is something called as API, which is the latest, which usually people develop their own APIs, which is called as application protocol interface, which is again a web to web link directly the bid. So there is no manual intervention as far as APIs are concerned. So directly the bid once placed from the system of a broker of a bank, it directly gets placed on NSE eIPO platform without any intervention or without login into the system. It directly gets placed. So that is called as the API. We will go through all this in our slides which are going to come ahead.
Great. So let's quickly brief on intermediaries through whom IPO bids flow to NSE IPO platform so that we can explain few important nuances surrounding them.
Yes, yes. So the intermediaries are banks, which are also called as self-certified syndicate banks. Currently, there are 54 banks which are registered with SEBI and with the exchange. Then there are syndicate members, or also better known as trading members or brokers, who can place the bid on the IPO platform. Then depository participants, registrar and transfer agents can also place the bids. But of course, RTA, the RTA for which the IPO is going on, they cannot place, but other RTAs can place.
Okay, so basically, wherever the RTA who is doing the registrar and transfer agent working for a particular issue, they cannot place over
They cannot place,
bids.
but other RTAs can place for that
Okay.
particular IPO. Correct,
IPO
that's right.
process has effectively evolved, it seems, over past few years. So if you can show, no, before that, I guess other nuances you wanted to cover, right? So please go ahead. Yes.
Correct, 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 correct. So, so
Yeah,
yeah,
please go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So IPO has evolved over a period of time. There was a time when it was T plus 21 listing, then it came to T plus 15, then T plus 6, and now we are at T plus 3. So T day is the day on which the IPO closes, and post that on the third day the listing happens. So I
Okay,
will
and
just go
you
through.
can also explain the nuances that participants can see over the screen. We were just mentioning about the overview also where bidding options per application which are available and
Correct,
all.
correct, correct, correct. So currently, typically in a IPO, you will have three options for bidding per application, especially in a book building type of a process. Suppose if the price range is from 100 to 105, you can place three different options, and the best options will be selected and go ahead for ASBA blocking. ASBA blocking is nothing but application supported by blocked amount. Bids up to 2 lakh shall be retail bids, and bids which are above 2 lakh shall be HNI or QIB bids. In case of banks, ASBA is mandatory. So basically the amount doesn't go out of your account. What happens is the amount is blocked in your account, and only then the bid is placed in the system. Similarly, UPI is a mandatory thing, or UPI is mandatory in case of trading members. UPI bid up to 2 lakhs initially was mandatory, where now RBI has increased the limit from 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs. And again, there is something called as ASBA block reference number, which is mandatory. So D is something for direct ASBA, S is for syndicate ASBA, and then there is something called as 3-in-1 type account holders. So these are those account holders who also have a banking arm.
So this
So
particular point,
wherein the
Manjunath,
demat account, the bank account. Sorry, yeah, tell me.
so I was just asking these particular reference number indicators that you are mentioning. So it will be helpful for participants to see over our portal, right? For the bids.
Correct. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
please
right.
go ahead.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So yeah. So so this is an indicator so that it becomes easier to identify the ASBA block reference number. D is for direct ASBA, S is for syndicate ASBA, and T is for 3-in-1 type holders.
Okay, what about modification and cancellation
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, definitely. So for retail can upward modification and downward modification is available for retail, and cancellation is also possible. But for all bids which are of 2 lakh and above, HNI and QIB, they cannot cancel and only upward modification is allowed. Apart from this, there is also shareholder category and employee and policyholder category, which are also there. So shareholder category and policyholder category are usually bids up to 2 lakhs. And whereas employee category is concerned, it is up to 5 lakhs.
So Manjunath, one small thing I want to clarify for sake of participants. So you mentioned that HNI and QIP bids cannot be cancelled. So IPO remains open for 3 days. So in any of the days when the bid is placed, it cannot be cancelled, or it is on particular day that cannot be cancelled.
Nay, once bid placed for a transaction which is more than 2 lakh in case of HNI and QIB, that cannot be cancelled. There
Okay.
can
So
only be upward modification. And for the benefit of retail, SEBI has allowed that in case if a retail places a bid, he can always cancel his bid or he can do an upward or a downward modification. But the bid amount should be less than 2 lakhs. That is the definition of a retail bid.
So that's a very clear explanation, and
Correct.
thanks Manju for highlighting that. Participants, you should make a due note of this so that later on during the participation you don't face any operational hurdles due to this kind of restrictions wherever applicable, as mentioned by him. So now we can just explain the overall IPO process also, Manjunath. If you can try to explain
Yeah,
how the IPO
yeah.
process goes ahead.
Yes, definitely. So I will run through the IPO bidding process. So typically, a investor fills in the application form and he reaches to either a trading member, bank, or any of the participant. The participants receives those details. So the intermediary basically receives the details. So in case if it is a bank, the bank marks a lien in the saving bank account of the investor and then places the bid on NSE eIPO platform. In case if it is a UPI bid, the UPI handle at the rate UPI or at the rate whatever the handle may be, those details are mentioned. So those details are passed on the NSE eIPO platform, as I told, via either manual bulk upload or the API route. Once these bids are received at the exchange end, the exchange does a DP validation with both the depositories. In case if it is CDSL, DP validation will be done at CDSL. In case if it is NSDL, so both the depositories DP validation is done. Once the details are successful, the ASBA bidding process is completed, but the UPI bidding will further continue and UPI bids will go to the sponsor bank. Sponsor bank will check the authenticity of the UPI ID with NPCI and then they will create a mandate and send it to the mobile app of the investor. Once the details are received on the mobile app of the investor will go and put in the secret pin and then the amount is blocked in the saving bank account of that investor. So there are two ways. One is ASBA and one is UPI. So this goes on for a minimum of 3 days and a maximum of 10 days in case of SME and mainboard IPO. Once these bids are received and the 3-day bidding is closed, the bid book is sent to the registrar for further churning of the bids. So the bids which are so again over there, the registrar does the bucketing of the bid and it does the basis of allotment depending on the details provided by the banks. Once all these details are done by the RTA goes ahead with the basis of allotment with the designated stock exchange and the designated stock exchange then draws lots. So drawing of lots is nothing but they provide the allotment details to the RTA and RTA on T plus 1 day informs all the banks and the members saying who has received the allotment. So typically this is done on T plus 2 end of day or maybe T plus 1 late evening. Once the allotment details are finalized, the shares are transferred to the demat account of the said investor and the funds which are blocked are transferred to the escrow account of the company. And on the third day, the listing takes place. And all those investors who do not get allotment, the bank unblocks those funds for those particular investors.
So surely this was very helpful to understand the overall process flow. Now let's share some latest updates which are important for participants to keep in mind, and we can start with rejection of duplicate PAN bids.
Yeah, definitely. So recently, in specifically in SME IPO, what is done is there used to be a lot of multiple biddings which were happening. So investors used to provide applications with wrong credentials. Many a time there used to be a mismatch of category. So to avoid all this thing, what exchanges along with SEBI has done is multiple bidding in different categories and different applications with same PAN now shall get rejected upfront only. So something which you used to know at time of allocation, that upfront at time of bidding itself, those details are getting flushed out. So there is an exception to that. Of course, if there is an additional reservation category for employee, shareholder, or policy holder, apart from an individual category, you can also put another bid, and in such cases, it won't be considered as multiple bidding. Similarly, for QIB bids, wherein if it is a mutual fund, there are N number, so the PAN number remains the same, but the DMAT keeps on changing. So in such cases, again, multiple bidding would be allowed unless and until the combination is different. Otherwise, same application with same details will not be allowed, and you will get an upfront cancellation or a validation saying already we have received a bid with the same PAN, so you cannot place the bid in particular for the particular IPO in the same application.
And I'm sure that in case of such rejections, portal will be showing them the necessary remarks that the bid has been
Correct,
rejected.
correct.
Okay. Now, PAN validation is also important aspect to know about. Can you brief on it?
Yeah. So in case of PAN validation, what the exchange has done is the fourth character of the PAN needs to be P or H in case of HUF. Only then the system will allow to place a bid in IND or individual category. Similarly, in case of shareholder, employee or policy holder, the issuer or the company would provide the details of such PAN, which the system will capture in its eIPO portal. So in case if we don't get that PAN and if that PAN doesn't match with the PAN provided by the company, then we would give you upfront rejection saying ki you are not an employee or you are not a policy holder or you are not a shareholder. So you cannot place an order in that.
Okay. Now let's also explain on mismatches which arise from bids entered by the participants or intermediary.
Correct. So applications with DP client ID or PAN mismatched status shall not form part of the live bidding data. So many a time, still the time, suppose if you have placed a bid at 10 o'clock, if there is a mismatch, then that won't be part of the demand details which exchange on a periodic every 5 minutes updates on its website. Only once the mismatch details are updated, only then they will be shown on the website of the exchange. Similarly, in the final bid book, it shall not be part of the final bid book. An exchange will only give those bids which are totally successful in the system. And modification of DPID and client, either DP or PAN, but not both, shall be allowed. And this will happen throughout the day. So from 10 p.m. to till 5 p.m. on the last day, the DP mismatch will happen on near real time basis. So that the moment you place the bid, you immediately come to know there is a mismatch, and such rectifications can happen then and there itself.
And the timing you mentioned is for all 3 days or the last day?
This timing is for all the 3 days. So from the day one from 10 p.m. till the last day 5 p.m. this is happening on a real time basis. So someone if does a DP mismatch for that matter, post market hours also, those also shall get updated, and till 5 p.m. it is allowed on the last day of the issue.
For
So
the
it is near
rectification
to
that they
real
can
time.
do.
Maybe there is some maybe few seconds, but we can call it near real time validation which can happen.
Great, great. Now, apart from these key updates, any other operational updates you want to share to participants?
Yeah. So the exchange book building platform shall also verify the bids for reservation category like employee, shareholder, or policy holder based on the details provided by the company or the issuer. the exchange has issued a circular. The circular number is IPO 62335, in which all the details which we have just mentioned are there. So for better understanding, you all can also refer this particular circular.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the latest changes which have happened in debt IPO. So UPI now, which was an uh, additional option payment mechanism, has now become mandatory for debt IPO up to 5 lakhs for syndicate members or trading members. Three members shall be allowed UPI as well as ASBA both. And mismatch modification window, which was earlier allowed for debt IPO, now with effect from November onwards, that shall not be allowed. And there will only be a real time mismatch modification, as I earlier told. And this has become mandatory from November 2025. Earlier, it was an option, and there used to be a additional mismatch window apart from the one which was available. So now that is not available, and it is only during the IPO period of the debt IPO.
So in that case, the participants will have to be very mindful on the last day, I assume, right?
Correct. That's right. That's right. Up to 5 p.m. on the last day is the deadline for doing mismatch modification. For banks, there shall be no change, and banks, as they used to bid earlier, they need to bid in the same way. There is no change in file format or structure.
Okay. So these are circulars that participants can refer. Now, Manjunath, in the start today, we mentioned API as one of the modes of bids placement. Where can members get the API documents and how they can know any changes happening in the API documents?
Correct. Very nice question. So basically, exchange after issuing a new version of the API, they update it at the trading protocol link, which is available on your screen. The latest API version currently for web API is 1.20.5, and for query API. So in case if they want to know the demand, they can also develop the query API, which is 1.0.3.1. All these APIs are available on the website. These APIs are also available on the front login page of eipo.nseindia.com. So in case sometimes it become, if they are not able to find it on the website, they can also go on the eIPO front end, and on the front page of the login screen itself, they can download these APIs.
So can we say that members should, periodically keep checking the updates if they are available in the API document so that they can incorporate? And
Correct,
as you
correct,
mentioned over eIPO portal also and NSE website also, members, we keep publishing the latest documents.
correct. That's right.
And if I'm not mistaken, Manjunath, in the API documents that we revise, we try to provide a summary of the revisions and changes that have happened, which will be easy for members to understand, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Great. Now we know that many members have already integrated eIPO API in their system, but in case a member is yet to do that, can you help with initial steps involved to get their APIs integrated?
Yes, yes. So these are few of the steps if any new API user is coming and he wants API functionality for himself. So first of all, at the time of onboarding itself, we provide the login admin credentials. So member or bank first of all needs to create users from the admin login provided. Once those users are created, the TM or the bank shall email these details on msm@nse.co.in. This is the mail ID for converting the normal user to an API user. So there are two sets of user. One is a normal user and one is a user through which only API bids will go through. So to
And I assume
convert,
that both the users have to be a different users, right? That
correct,
members
that's
have to
right.
create.
Both users will be different users, and the member or the bank needs to inform the exchange that which user they want to be converted to an API user.
Okay.
Exchange shall convert this API. So throughout the day, exchange will receive all this information via email, and post 6 p.m. EOD, they will. So this is a tentative time. There are times exchange provides these users earlier also, maybe by 5:15, 5:30 or so. So tentatively by 6 p.m., all the mails will be reverted back with informing that these API users have been created. And in case if it is an encrypted V2 API, the user-wise public key also needs to be provided. So
Uh,
currently we have got two types of API version. One is the normal version and one is the advanced security encrypted version. So in case if it is an encrypted API, then it will take 2 days wherein we need to map the key internally for the user and then provide the details for the encrypted API.
so by any chance, do members need to mention the encryption API thing in their email, whether they are going to use the standard one or the
Correct,
encryption one?
correct, correct, correct. They need to mention that. And of course, along with the key, if he send a key along with the user details, it is but understood that the key is for mapping to the encrypted API only. So that's how
Okay.
we check and then we send across the details to the user. Okay, apart from this, there were a lot of member queries saying कि whitelisting of IP or URLs at times are a time consuming process. So now what Exchange has done is Exchange has provided real time mapping of IP addresses. So many a times, many members have multiple IPs and as a fallback keep 2 or 3 IPs which are mapped to a single user. So IP mapping now gets updated within 15 minutes. The functionality is an additional to the existing functionality of single IP user for creation of token. And in case for whitelisting of any TM or bank, email ID and the same details need to be mailed to msm@nse.co.in. And URL whitelisting would take 4 to 5 days. So we are working on URL whitelisting also. And soon that also can be done via the admin user. So currently only whitelisting of IP is allowed. Soon whitelisting of URL also shall be allowed from the front end itself.
Okay.
And
And
it is
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, please.
And it is also recommended that these whitelistings are done maybe a day prior to the issue opening because during market hours, we do not allow any such whitelisting to happen because now that IP whitelisting happens within 15 minutes, only either before or post 5 p.m. they can do this type of whitelisting.
Okay. And the point you mentioned about the maximum 16 IPs can be mapped, that will be member level maximum limit, right?
That is user level maximum limit. You can also give a range of IPs. Suppose if you have a range of IPs, even that can be done. But per user, so you can have n number of users per user. The maximum IPs which can be mapped is 16.
Okay. And at a point of time, they can just get whitelisted couple of IPs and later on, if required, they can keep adding by emailing
Correct.
to us with the same procedure. Is that correct?
Correct. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Now, in addition to these steps, there must be restrictions and limits applicable for various functions of APIs. Let's share them for mindful implementation of systems at members end.
Correct, correct. So annexure C of the API document provides you the rate limits. So these are the few limits which we have currently maintained at our end. So one of them is login limit. So login at the host system, it is 2 requests per second. Similarly, there is, excuse me, there is transaction add bulk API. So you can place one single request. So there are in one single request, there are 100 orders that you can place. And in one request, there are 100 applications. So so max records which can be sent in one particular bulk add API would be 100 requests per second. So 100 into 100, it comes up to around 10,000 applications that one can send via bulk API in one single second. Similarly, there is transaction fetch API, wherein if the user for whatever reasons has not mapped the callback API and there is a fetch API and he wants to know the payment status or what is the status of a particular transaction. So these are the limits that Exchange provides. These all limits are provided in annexure C of the API document.
Okay. Apart from this, any core key developments that you want to highlight here?
Yeah. So some of the core key developments which have recently been taken forward in the last 3 to 4 months. One of them is we have increased the bulk file upload from 10,000 to 40,000 in case of tender offer, and soon we will also make it up to 100K. Similarly, for IPO from 15K, we have gone all the way to 1 lakh applications in a single bulk file upload. Uh, and all file formats have been standardized for SME IPO, mainboard IPO, REITs, InvITs. So there is a standardized file format. So across exchange, you can use a single bulk upload for file format. An encrypted API version 1.20, which has been released in September. So which is an advanced security measure. So some of the institution, organization, especially banks, require the encrypted API. So encrypted API is also available.
Okay. Now, definitely, I'm sure over the period we have been implementing operational enhancements based on members' feedback for greater efficiency. If you can please brief on them.
Yeah. So some of the key improvements that we have done based on member feedback is increased in API limit for transaction fetch. So it has been increased from one request in 5 minutes to 25 requests per second. Uh, then introduction of encryption decryption mechanism in allotment API for enhanced security has been released in the system. We have also implemented bulk upload validation of e-forms. So there is a file format wherein you can put in key in all the details and do a bulk upload. So you will get a printable application form which can be then downloaded. So earlier there was no restriction on the same. So now we have restricted. So if the same details we receive twice, the second detail is restricted and you get a pop-up saying that these details already have been updated in the system. Another feature or functionality based on member feedback is auto trigger alert for checker to act on pending bids. So there is a maker checker functionality in the eIPO platform, and many a times it does happen that the checker sends the maker sends the details to the checker, but checkers unknowingly he doesn't act on that. So now in this case, what will happen is there will be auto trigger mails which will go from 1 p.m. onwards. And at every regular 1 hour interval, the checker will be getting a notification saying that the bids are pending, which he has to act upon. And the
Okay, so
moment he acts upon those
only
bids, then this alert will stop.
only checker will get the alerts, or maker will also get the alerts,
Maker will get an intimation, but checker will get an alert saying ki, okay, the bids have been pending, so please act upon the same.
and those alerts will be in form of email, right?
That will be in the form of email. Correct, correct, correct.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. Another feedback which members we received from members was increase in field length for ASBA reference number. So especially in case of reads and invits, the ASBA reference number was more than 16 characters was earlier there in the system. So we have increased from 16 characters we have made it to 60 characters. So now everyone can accommodate whoever had 20, 25 or 30 characters, especially banks. So the ASBA reference number for reads and invits have been increased to 60. Okay. Apart from that, some more enhancements. We have also provided the holiday master. So if you are using an API, you can fetch the holiday master so that they'll come to know on which day the eIPO bidding platform is closed for which segment. Encrypted allotment via API is another functionality which we have recently released in the system. And SME IPO on the last day ends by 4 p.m. This is the latest development which has happened. For all other IPOs, usually it is 5 p.m. But for SME IPO, on the last day, the bidding closes by 4 p.m. So that additional check we have put and we have released an API for the same, and change in API rate limits, as we showed earlier. The rate limits have been enhanced from before, and we constantly look at this and will keep increasing these limits also, so that all the details what the API users get, they are within the limit.
Okay, so thanks for detailed overview on key facets and enhancements, Manjunath. I think we should also provide a visual walkthrough of NSE IPO portal to participants very briefly.
Correct, correct. So this is the front end of NSE eIPO platform, wherein you place key in your bank or member code and put in your user ID. Once you put in your user ID, you can put in the password. In case for whatever reasons you have forgotten the password, there is a reset option also which is provided, so that the admin or the user can reset his password from the front end itself. Once the password is put, you will get an OTP on your registered email ID and mobile number. And once you key in the OTP details, you will then log into the main screen of eIPO. So this is how the eIPO main screen looks like. So this is the dashboard wherein you can see which are the companies which are currently available for placing bids. Either it is a main board company or a SME company, how many applications have been received, what is the minimum quantity, what is the maximum quantity. So there are all such things. Apart from that, there are filters also which are there. How many bids have been cancelled, what are the mismatch which are there. So all those filters are there on the dashboard. Then this is the bidding entry or manual bidding screen, wherein the ones which are asterisk mark are the ones which you need to mandatorily fill in the details. So once you put in all the details, once you click on submit, if all details are correct, you would get an exchange order number.
And if you can go back to the screen, Manjunath.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So apart from manual entry, I believe the adjacent button of bulk upload is for the manual bulk upload they can do.
Correct, correct,
And
correct, correct.
if you can brief, I mean, where they can find the formats for bulk upload. I mean, definitely you might
So
not be able to show over screen, but if you can just
yes,
utter it
yes. So
out.
once you can also see the MISC or the miscellaneous tab. So once you click on the miscellaneous tab, you can also find all the file formats which are available. And along with the file structure, even a sample of the file is provided, which would help the participants in a better way how to prepare the file and then how bulk upload can be done.
Great. Now, apart from eIPO portal, does NSE publish IPO related data on its website?
Yes. So there is on the website there is something called as IPO on the main NSE website itself. Once you click on IPO, you go on the page which is displayed over here. So there is current issues which are going on, past issues, and upcoming issues. Over there, you will get the what is the security type, whether it's an SME IPO or a main board IPO or a debt IPO. What is the start date? What is the end date? uh, and typically you can also see the bid data. So this data, you can see what are the number of shared offered, and so this is again a real time data which comes on the NSE website. So NSE data gets updated every minute, and cumulative demand details get updated every 3 minutes. So from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m. in the evening, this data keeps on getting updated on a near on a continuous basis, at a interval of periodic interval of 5 minutes. It keeps on getting updated. So this is the demand schedule, at what all price levels, what all bids have you received, what are the total number of bids received, what is the number of times the issue has been subscribed. So all those details can be seen. So this is another graphical representation कि which bids are received at cutoff, which bids are received at different price intervals, both at NSE demand and all exchange demand, both are displayed. Again, NSE demand is displayed after every minute, whereas uh, the all exchange demand gets updated every 5 minutes, every 3 minutes. Sorry. We have also
Okay.
provided with the URL below, so you can click on the URL for the particular IPO, so you can go and check out there.
Okay, great. So thank you, Manjunath, for the detailed walkthrough and
Thanks,
explanation
thanks,
of key updates. Now we have already
thanks.
received couple of questions. Before we proceed to that, we again request participants. So if they are having any questions, they can post their questions related to today's topic under the Q&A tab. We definitely will cover whatever possible queries we can address related to NSE's eIPO bidding mechanism, which is a web-based interface as we have explained just now. Now, before we move to question, again, Manjunath, I mean, in case members are having any IPO related query or things they want to clarify, any particular email ID you can just mention which they can email to?
Yeah, definitely. So they can mail on msm@nse.co.in. This is the mail ID which they can, they can send their queries. In case if they need to call, we also have a toll-free number that is 1800 two double 1800 266 0050, and they can press 1 for any feedback or any queries related to the IPO member service desk.
Okay, and one more thing, I mean, for effective query resolution that we can serve to members. So when they email, do you suggest if they can particularly mention something in the subject line or the key fields that we require related to IPO related queries, which they can
Yes, they
mention
can
in
put
email?
in the subject line that whether it's a IPO related query or if it's a specific query related to a particular IPO, they can also write the name of that IPO so that it becomes easier for us to know what is the exact details they require.
And does it help if they mention a particular user they are trying to put in the bid so that we can identify the issue at the earliest?
Correct. They can put in the user detail, or in case if it is a API related query, we would also require the request and response log, what they are trying to do. Or maybe if it is a bulk upload query, maybe they can provide us the error file and the input file, what they have done. So many a times it so happens the file is wrongly prepared. That's the reason the file doesn't go through. So if they give us these details, then it becomes easier for us also to reply them back in a faster manner.
Great. Now let's move to the questions. Couple of queries we have already received. Very first thing is the member is asking if they can get the recording of this session. So I'd say that member, be rest assured, all the open house sessions that we do after end of the session in coming few days, we upload it over NSE's YouTube channel, where under the playlist you can find the open house webinars playlist, under which all the sessions we have done in past couple of years you will be able to see the recording. But please be mindful that for today's session, which is related to eIPO mechanism, right, bidding mechanism, the mechanism and the explanation is as of today. It may be possible that later on in future you are referring to that recording uploaded, that time some changes have already happened, so you'll have to keep referring to those changes that come in the future, right, Manjunath?
Correct. That's right.
Correct. Now, the second query is Mr. Nitesh Garg is asking, you mentioned about API for placing of bids. How can we know more about this mechanism, which we have already explained, but still in case in couple of sentences you want to just highlight the key things related to API integration?
Yeah, we have already provided in this slide the API integration wherein he requires to, send across his details and we will convert his. So apart from that, we also have something called as the API document, which is available, which I had gone through earlier. So they can refer the API document, and still if they have certain queries, they can mail on msm@nse.co.in, and we'll be more than happy to, revert back to them with whatever specific query they have.
And in addition to that, members, as you already know, we have our regional office representatives also through whom you can just get in touch with and will be happy to resolve your queries at earliest. Now, the next question, Manjunath, is how are UPI ID mismatch, which is third party applications, they are validated? So he just wants the clarification.
Yeah. So in case of UPI ID, what happens is the moment the investor confirms by putting in the secret pin, the exchange gets a callback from the sponsor bank that the bid has been successfully been blocked. So once those details when the exchange receives, so along with that, exchange also receives the account details and the demat account from where the bid has been placed and which account the amount has been blocked. So exchange has an API wherein then the PAN third party PAN validation API is again triggered to the sponsor bank, wherein the exchange checks that the demat details and the account number belong to the same entity or no. In case if it is not, then we mark it as it is third party invalid API. And these details then pass on to the registrar, and then registrar then accordingly takes his decision at time of allocation of the bids.
Great, thank you. Now the next one is participant wants to clarify, like e-forms, is resending the same application twice via API also flagged and not allowed?
Current, sorry, can you get back on this question, please?
Yes, yes. So he's asking, so he's saying that in e-forms, the particular thing is saying is not allowed. So he's asking, like e-forms is resending the same application twice via API also not allowed. So he's saying that in e-forms, probably we are not allowing to send the same application twice via
Correct,
API.
correct,
So he's
correct.
asking, I mean, whether via API also it is not allowed, just like e-forms.
Correct. So in case for whatever reasons, if someone does not receive a mandate or they feel that the bids have been stuck, because see, once the bid from us goes to the sponsor bank, till the time we don't get any message from the sponsor bank, there is no change in the details. So in case if so, we have something called as a resend option, which is there. And the resend option will only work on day one and day two, and on the last day means on best effort basis. In case if they have certain applications which they want to resend, the exchange will resend it on behalf of the broker, based on he providing us with the email ID and the application details.
Okay. Next question is eIPO portal has an option to resend mandates. Can it be provided over API? Also, currently it is not possible to resend the mandate during market hours. Can this be changed, especially for the last day of the issue?
We'll look into it. So currently, as rightly told, the resend option is only on the front end of eIPO. So this we will look, and again, it is not during the market hours, it is only post market hours. So this we look at, because especially in the fag end of the IPO, there are a lot of bids which come in, and again, by doing resend again and again it is very difficult even for the sponsor bank to get things updated. But we'll look into this and we'll get back.
So feedback noted, but any which ways, Manjunath, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they have pushed bids through API and during the first 2 days, if they want to resend mandate, they should be able to see those API bids and resend the mandates through portal, right?
Yes, yes, they can do it through portal, and on the last day, in case if they need to resend some applications, they need to send a mail on msm@nse.co.in. So exchange will resend during the market hours for them on best effort basis.
Okay. Now, one person is asking, you took couple of names related to API by saying callback API, fetch API. He also mentioned something called heartbeat API or something. So if you can just quickly brief on differences between those APIs or the facilities.
Yes, I will tell. So basically, Heartbeat API is nothing but the moment you log in for the very first time for the session, every time when you log in, there is a token which is getting generated. Now, this token is valid for 60 minutes in case if you don't do any activity. Suppose that this token expires. But what does a heartbeat API does is, maybe on the 58th minute or on the 59th minute, it sends a heartbeat, due to which what happens is again there is an extension of the same token for another 60 minutes. And by doing so, you get a total continuity from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can use the same token and it gives you continuity. There is no loss of session which happens if you have developed the Heartbeat API. Similarly, callback is nothing but many a times what happens is callback. So many a times what happens is the details which are received by the sponsor bank are updated on our eIPO portal. Similarly, in case via API also you want to fetch it. So once you whitelist your URL with us, we update all those details via a callback on the URL provided by the member to us. So this is nothing but callback. The details are auto received by the broker for whatever bids is placed via API.
Okay. Now, one participant is asking, so you mentioned about when they want to take API, we explain the steps where they need to identify the user which they'll be using for API. So
Correct.
is it like per member only one API user is allowed or they can have multiple as well?
No. So member can create n number of users under him, and he can tell n number of APIs. Whichever user he wants to convert to API, we will provide those. So currently there is no limitation as far as number of API users are concerned.
But I mean, just thinking aloud, if member does that, then can it create some conflicts when he's trying to push bids through multiple API users, or there should not be conflict?
No, there isn't conflict. There are members which we have who have got many users for them. It depends on his need. So if he wants more number of users, he can always use more APIs. So
Okay.
there is no. In fact, many a times there is something called as a add transaction API, and there is an add bulk upload API. So depending on the use of the member, he can use these APIs.
Great. Participants, so far we are at the last question that we have received. So by the time we take it, please post in case you are having any further queries. We'll be waiting for a couple of minutes by the time we take this question. What is the appropriate time to use the allotment APIs? That is first part of the question. Is there a specific time frame during which the API should be called?
Uh, So see, allotment details are provided by RTA to the exchange. Now, as per the regulation, before T+2, they need to provide. So usually we get the allotment details maybe at the fag end of T+1 or maybe during the day of T+2. So idle time is so listing happens on T+3. So T+2 maybe typically post 5 p.m. they can anytime download the details. So tentatively around 5:30 if they download on T+2, mostly they should get the allotment details.
Okay. We have received one more question. Sometimes the investor funds are not unblocked till the mandate end date due to some error on the side of one of the intermediaries. Can exchange provide us some way through which we can raise to get the investors' funds unblocked sooner?
So we'll take this as a feedback. So what typically happens is when certain investors do not get the allocation, the registrar send across the unblocking details to the respective bank so that they can unblock in time. But then again, every bank has a different schedule or they work differently. But we'll nevertheless take this feedback and we will, tell it appropriately so that the funds are unblocked on time.
Okay, great. So, in absence of any more questions, Manjunath, I request if you want to just summarize and give the concluding remarks to the participants.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for giving an opportunity. And we will look at more such sessions of webinar wherein we can time and again, as Jwalan told, this is a process where we saw from T+21 and today we are at T+3. So IPO again is an evolving process. It keeps on changing every now and then. And with all feedback and with all whatever you'll provide us and you'll tell us ki what needs to be done and what needs to be done in a better, we will definitely come out with something better and always come out with something which helps the market at large.
Great. Thank you, Manjunath. And on
Yeah.
behalf of NSC, I thank all the participants who have joined. For rest of the participants and members also who could not join today due to some reason, as I mentioned, we will upload this open house video soon over NSC's YouTube channel under the playlist called Open House Webinars. So you can keep referring in future. Definitely, it will be in coming few days. So you'll have to wait. Just before we conclude the session, one more question has just popped up and we'd like to take this before we go. So could you please confirm the password expiry duration for the API, Manjunath?
So password expiry duration. So password expiry for the user is 365 days, which has been set. And as far as the API is concerned, once you login, and once the token is generated, so idle time is 60 minutes. So if you log in at maybe 10 a.m. and you don't do any activity for the next 60 minutes, the login token will get expired. And if
Okay.
you do some activity every time for next 60 minutes, it will keep on getting updated.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. And as I was saying, participants, we keep on doing more and more open house webinars every now and then. So please keep joining those sessions and also encourage other people from your organization to keep joining these sessions. We'll be coming up with more sessions in near future. And thank you for joining again. Have a great weekend coming ahead. Have a productive weekend coming ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.